Deep in the Alaskan wilderness, in a fjord within a fjord, exists one of the most incredible places accessible by boat.
Wow. I feel like we're in our own little universe in here.
You know, some sort of fantasy realm.
A pristine oasis, untouched by the outside world.
It's crazy. It's hard to believe that we are on the freaking ocean.
But getting here is a bit of a mission.
There is a nasty set of rapids that you've got to run at slack tide.
That's the craziest thing I've ever done.
A dramatic gateway into one of the most stunning fjords.
That was messed up. That's the shallowest I've ever seen under the boat. Seen 5 feet and like we draw 5.3.
Join us as we attempt the journey into Alaska's most breathtaking yet perilous hidden gems.
My heart is still pounding out of my chest.
You're joining us in this dramatic, uncharted Anchorage in Alaska's Tracy Arm Ford's Terror wilderness area. A deep, glacial-carved inlet flanked by towering cliffs and steep mountains. Our base camp the past few days while venturing to an impressive glacier locally known as the Dogs.
It's a really good jumping off point to explore Dawes Glacier yesterday. Absolutely insane. It's not on avionics. It's not in the cruising guides.
The guidebook basically says you can't do it. The notes on Navionics, nobody's written any notes about it.
After spending an extraordinary few days here living from the wild, it's time for us to haul anchor.
We are hauling up the hook to head to another anchorage. It's called Ford's Terror. We're keen to check it out because it's supposed to be incredibly beautiful, just like an insane scenic place. There is a nasty set of rapids that you've got to run at slack tide.
We got to make haste this morning because we need to make it to the entrance to Ford's Terror, which is an inlet off an inlet.
The inception of fjords. Ford's Terror is a dramatic channel cutting through steep mountains, leading to an oasis with stunning scenery that will definitely leave you speechless. But getting here isn't easy. Its entrance is a hell's gate of sorts, known for its treacherous currents and rapids that form when tides rush in and out of the narrow channel. Boats entering or exiting must carefully time their passage to coincide with slack tide, when the water is relatively calm.
Very similar to Princess Louisa Inlet up in Jarvis Inlet, where you got to go all the way up this inlet and then you got to run a rapid into another inlet. It's a bit of an interesting one because there's no specific time that you can calculate the rapid ops. Because it's such a small inlet, it really depends on the size of the tide at the bottom as to when exactly slack happens. So they advise you just to kind of rock up at high water in Juneau and then just wait with the binoculars, keep an eye on the rapid, and when the standing wave ceases to exist, then that's the time to go. So hopefully we will arrive at high water slack for Juneau and we can time it correctly.
On a schedule with the tides, we began our 10 nautical mile journey towards the entrance of Ford's Terror, motoring out of our previous anchorage at the north end of Tlingit Arm.
Absolutely beautiful anchorage. And this is the first time we've actually had sun in the last 3 days, and wind, I guess, to clear the clouds. And we're finally getting a first glimpse of the mountains that we've basically been living in for the past 2 nights.
It's like sheer granite cliffs going straight up. We can see the snowfields towering above the inlet. It's absolutely insane.
It's a really, really beautiful, super stunning place.
We are just approaching the entrance to Fords Terror. We are well ahead of high tide, which is perfect. It means we can hang out, observe what's happening in the pass, check out what standing waves are happening, which way the current's moving, and we can wait for slack.
The tidal gate at the entrance to Fords Terror opens every 6 hours at what is known as slack water. This is the point in the tide cycle when the water has temporarily stopped moving before reversing direction. During this time, the current slows down and becomes nearly still before the ebbing tide or falling tide begins. This period of minimal water movement is crucial for safe navigation into the inlet.
We'll know it's slack time when there are no more ripples or disturbances on the surface, at which point the water level inside the inlet and the water level outside the inlet have equilibriumized and there is no current. As the tide then drops, it'll start to ebb and flow outwards and we'll be safely inside, tucked away in Fords Terror.
The name Fords Terror is a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurk here. In the late 1800s, a US Navy crewman named Ford learned of this the hard way when he was caught in the violent tidal currents, fighting desperately for hours to escape its grip. Today, those who enter carefully time their approach to coincide with slack tide, waiting and watching for the water here to settle. Approaching the Fords Terror waiting area, we were a little anxious about what to expect. But we became briefly distracted by the stunning scene opening up before us. One of bright turquoise blue waters, lush forested slopes, and towering rock faces. Waterfalls tumbling down the steep cliffs.
Pretty stunning waterfall.
And this was just the entrance, a small glimpse of what we could expect once inside.
We're just waiting for slack. It's just past high tide now. We can see, visualize the current in the pass here. You can time it, you can work it out all you want on paper and charts, but really the best thing to do is look at the rapid, and when you stop seeing the current and the waves and everything looking really shitty, that's when you go.
As the currents began to calm, boats inside Fords Terror began transiting to the outside, signaling it was time for us to get ready.
Securite, securite, securite. This is SV Uinta, 30-foot sailboat entering Fords Terror. Any outbound vessels, please advise. Over.
Nobody is outbound.
Roger that. Out. Let's hit the rapids. I guess it's not going to be a rapid when we head in, but let's go do it. Let's go see what's inside.
With nature's powerful tidal forces temporarily at bay, the Narrows settled, appearing calm and glassy. We approached carefully between the shallow shoals, charting course for the center of the channel while keeping an eye on the depths.
26 feet.
With about 4 fathoms under our keel, our anxiety eased, but we still needed to avoid the rocks and ice chunks lurking in the channel. At the wrong time, the conditions here would look different entirely, with currents surging through at speeds upwards of 12 knots. But a pretty peaceful passage if timed correctly with high slack.
Ford's Terror, not as terrifying as we've anticipated. It's really quite good to just sit there and watch it. You can see when it goes slack and then work your way through. In the shallowest part of the channel, we did see about, 17 foot and down to 13 feet. I think we're a little off to one side, so it wasn't dead in the center of the channel. But yeah, definitely hit it at high slack. You really need to make sure that you've got enough draft if you wander off to the side to make it through safely. No current for us pushing through, it was absolutely fine. I think slack here is pretty quick affair, like it changes like that. You could see the line in the water where the ebb is already starting to push back against the flood, and it would have been like, I think another 5 or 10 minutes and it would have been running the other way and we would have been trying to buck it. But we're here now and the fjord is absolutely breathtaking. Great big granite cliffs coming straight down, lined with trees, the most emerald green water you can imagine. A little bit of rain at the moment, but that's okay because the waterfalls are just starting to come alive and that's spectacular.
It is absolutely beautiful in here. The granite domes, like it feels like we're sailing through Yosemite Valley or something. It's just spectacular. And all of these waterfalls. Crazy. I never get sick of seeing water streaming off these mountains. It's really, really epic. So the top of this inlet forks off sort of like a T. We're gonna head to the west arm Anchorage. We would love to head over to the east side, and we probably will do that tomorrow, but it has a very shallow bar. So the advice is that you can transit it at high water slack. There's some boulders and navigational hazards on that side of things that might warrant a dinghy reconnaissance mission to sort of scope it all out before we can take in the mothership. So we're gonna head over to the west side, which is equally as beautiful, and then probably tomorrow we'll go check out the east side and see if we can plant the mothership there for a beautiful night in probably total isolation, and that would be pretty neat.
This is the entrance to Ford's Terror East. Definitely shallow and even more sketchy than the rapids we just transited. Approaching the fork at the head of the inlet, we diverted to scope it all out. The pass looked nearly impassable. Our cruising guides advised us not to enter.
There's a comment on Navionics here from July 2023, so this time last year, that says, the entrance to this arm is really that dangerous, that even entering it by dinghy is risky. Respect for anyone dodging the boulders in the entrance by anything bigger.
The depths here are anybody's guess, and with the current now ebbing out of the inlet, we were no longer at the highest point of the tide. But like a moth to a flame, we can't seem to resist a tricky anchorage. And we were quickly swept into the temptation of running the gauntlet into the east arm. Inching closer against the ebbing current, we very nearly ran aground.
That was messed up. Seen 5 feet under the keel. Well, not under the keel, under the boat. And like we draw 5.3, so pretty bloody close. We're a little bit after high slack, so we've lost about a foot of water. I think that's the shallowest I've ever seen under the boat, and you cannot see in through the water because it is so green and chunky and thick. Mental. My heart is still pounding out of my chest. That's the craziest thing I've ever done.
Slightly sketchy, and honestly not something we would recommend folks attempt when coming in. We did end up doing a reconnaissance mission after the fact, so if you're curious to transit this one safely and without fear, stick around until the end.
On the upside though, with the current ebbing, the current was pushing us back out, so motoring into a little bit of current really slowly is quite good. So if you do bump something, it pushes you back. So not the craziest situation. I don't think we would have grounded the boat or anything, but still really got my anxiety up, you know, like prickly. Ugh. But now we're here and it's spectacular down here, so I don't think the chart is accurate at all as to this arm because it looks really silly on the chart, and I don't think that's the way it would naturally form. So we're gonna go have a motor around, see if we can't find a nice place to anchor. It's absolutely beautiful in here. The view looking back towards the west arm is just incredible. There's snow-capped mountains, waterfalls, granite cliff faces, just superb. Let's go enjoy ourselves now. Man, I need a beer now. Holy.
But making it past the perilous entrance, we were rewarded with a scene of unparalleled beauty. Pristine wilderness untouched by the outside world. A place so stunning, it feels almost sacred. Once safely in the east arm, we scoped out a place to drop the hook. Tucked behind the shallow spit on the north side, there appeared to be a snug anchorage.
That'll be 30. So yeah, I think this is the East Ford Terrace Anchorage site. We're in about 42 feet of water at the moment, 40 feet, and we're at like 13 feet on the tide at the moment, so we're gonna lose 13 to 15 overnight. So really, at low tide, we're in 25 feet, which is awesome. But I'm just gonna scout around, make sure that everything is where it is, and then we'll plonk the hook down.
I feel like we're in our own little universe in here. It's like its own little world inside a world.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, some sort of fantasy realm, or like something you would see in like, you know, Lord of the Rings or
video games you played as a kid, like Zelda, I don't know, where you like complete one world and then you go to the next.
This is the inception of fjords. We're like in an inlet within an inlet within an inlet. We're like 3 inlets deep, and we've just come out into this like magical oasis in this canyon. It's massive. Oh, just granite everywhere. It's crazy. It's hard to believe that we are on the freaking ocean.
It almost feels like we're on a magical river oasis, or like an alpine lake. It's like someone dropped us into an alpine lake. It feels not real. It feels ethereal, majestic.
I don't know why Ford found it so terrifying when he came in here. My heart is still pounding out of my chest. That's the craziest thing I've ever done.
I reckon Ford found it pretty fantastic, and that's why he called it terror, so that other people wouldn't turn up. And I don't blame folks for not coming up because you got to run 2 rapids to get here. It takes some effort, it takes planning, it takes time.
It takes time, which is the big one.
There's room for error, so definitely worth it on the other end.
Yeah.
So glad we made it.
The entrance into the east arm practically dries at low tide. It's absolutely insane. There's the tiniest little bit of a channel, and then it turns into this roaring rapid for like hours before it settles out at high tide for like 20 minutes. So we got to spend one day to get out of the east arm, go to the west arm, and then the next day we'll have to leave to exit Fords Terra back into Endicott Arm before we can get out of Endicott Arm. So it is a bit of a time commitment to come in here, but 100% worth it. 100% worth coming into Fords Terra, and especially coming up into the east arm. A+ level adventure.
Yeah. So thanks for coming along with us on this one, guys. Give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Write us a note down in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time, guys. Cheers. This is our reconnaissance mission. This is our reconnaissance mission, and we're sitting here at the bar crossing into East Fjords Terra. And as you can see behind us, there is rocks, there is shallows, there is a bar, and there's still quite a bit of current after slack water here. I think we did it more or less correct, except I think upon reflection, we should have been maybe a little bit closer to the south side of the bar. It seems that the spit extends considerably further out than mid-channel. I would say at least 3/4, and you actually kind of want to hug the southern shore. There's one rock that sticks above the water, and I would say if you pass within maybe 30 or 40 feet of it and stay parallel to the southern shore, then you should be okay. Seems like most of the current is clear, and this is the deep part of the channel. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I passed pretty close to those rocks there in the background, because they're the ones I think I've seen on the depth finder that scared the G's out of me. This is our reconnaissance mission, and yeah, we should have done this before we took the mothership through, not after, because we would have known which way to go.
If you felt the pull of the wild right alongside us in this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next journey. We'll be taking you on a ride upriver into one of Alaska's most dramatic and remote inlets.
That was a workout. I guess it's not exploring if you don't portage.
And we just spotted a herd of mountain goats.
Looking up the mountains, and there's a herd of freaking mountain goat up there. How many we got? Holy!
Join us for all that and more in the next one. We'll see you then. Cheers.